Hi friends, this is Calamity here, at least according to the local government. And today we're going to talk about the weapon banner that's currently going on with the Yaimiko and Tartaglia rerun. Now before we start talking about the weapon banner, I try to preface these videos by saying that if you're a new player, you should probably try to avoid pulling on a weapon banner, at least until you get a decent amount of characters. Now, if you feel like you finally have a decent, roster of characters that you're happy with, and you're deciding whether or not pulling on a weapon banner is worth it, well, then this video is for you, I suppose. The short version is going to be that this weapon banner is amazing. It really is amazing. Both Kegura's Verity and the Polar Star, while being amazing for both Yaimiko and Child respectively, they're actually really good weapons on other characters as well, because they're basically really good stat sticks, despite not being able to utilize the weapons effect to the fullest. Depending on the other characters that are using them, they're still really good options for other characters. The 4 stars are also pretty decent as well. We've seen them plenty of times, maybe except the Claymore. We'll go over those weapons as well. Yeah, the short version is this weapon banner is amazing. If you're planning to pull on a weapon banner, now is a great time, assuming you have a bow or a catalyst user that you want these weapons for. Alright, but now let's actually dive into the weapons and talk about them in more detail. Alright, to start with the first weapon, let's talk about Kegura's Verity. Also, I'm kind of blocking the effect here again. Is that okay? Is that okay? I'll just be a tiny head in the corner. You can see the weapon effect. The only thing I'm blocking is like the flavor text. So why is Kegura's Verity a really good weapon for a lot of Catalyst users? Well, for starters, it is a 5-star weapon with a high base attack as well as a crit damage substat, giving it a huge advantage over plenty of other weapons. But let's look at the weapon effect. You get the Kegura Dance of the Sacred Sakura. You gain the Kegura Dance effect when using an elemental skill, causing the elemental skill damage of the character wielding this weapon to increase by 12% for 16 seconds. You have a maximum of 3 stacks. This character will gain an additional 12% to all elemental damage bonus when they possess 3 stacks. So just, basic math here. You're going to get a 36% elemental skill. Keep in mind it's only your skill that's getting increased here. 36% increased elemental skill damage. And then when you have all 3, you get an additional 12%. It says all elemental damage bonus. So this is going to affect everything. Now, obviously, Yaimiko is the character that comes to mind when it comes to using this weapon. Of course, since she has 3 uses of her elemental skill, and she uses them in rapid succession, meaning that this weapon's effect is usually going to be up all the time. Now, with that being said, there are still some other good candidates for this weapon. You can also use Lisa. Ningguang gets 2 charges of her skill when she has her Constellation 2, I believe. It's a great weapon for Haizo. Like, even though that these characters that I'm naming cannot get the full 3 stacks, or at least have trouble getting the full 3 stacks, it's still a very strong weapon with a lot of crit damage, which makes it so good for so many characters. However, don't feel like you have to pull this. Okay, there's plenty of good 5-star Catalyst weapons that you can get even in the standard banner. So, for example, the Skyward Atlas is a good option. Sacred Memory, it's a long name. Sacred Prayer of Memory, something like that. The one that gives you crit rate as a substat. That one's also a good option, and I believe you can get that in the standard banner as well. So if you do have the gems to pull on this banner and you just happen to get this weapon, it's not a loss. But also, don't feel like you have to pull these weapons. There are 5-star options available to you. Next up, we have the Polar Star, which is Child's signature weapon. If you haven't been playing for a while, this was added back in Inazuma. Child finally got his signature weapon after, I think, his first or second rerun. I forgot. Anyways, this weapon gives you a substat of crit rate and has a very long elemental or a weapon skill. But let's read it. So you get Daylight's Augury. Elemental skill and elemental burst damage are increased by 12% after a normal attack, charge attack, elemental skill, or elemental burst hits an opponent. 1 stack of Ashen Nightstar will be gained for 12 seconds. When you gain a stack of Ashenite Star, your attack is increased by up to 48% at max stacks. The stack of Ashenite Star created by the normal attack, charge attack, elemental skill, or elemental burst will be counted independently of the others. Now, just like Kegura's Verity, this weapon is going to be good on plenty of other bow characters. You know, you can use this on Ganyu, you can use this on Amber, Fish, you could use this on, main DPS, sub DPS. The only one who's not going to use this is your supports like Diona. So it's a good option for, literally any bow character, just because, again, it's a great stat stick. It gives you crit rate, a decent amount of it, meaning you can go hard on the crit damage on your substats and artifacts. Now, obviously, Child is going to get all 4 stacks of this weapon very easily because his elemental skill, normal attack, and charge attack are all part of like the same thing. You're always going to be doing all 3 of that at the same time, or at least you should be. His optimal combo involves doing both normal attacks with his dual swords and then ending with a charge attack in his combo, and then the burst. Usually you start off with it if you have it before switching into his dual sword stance, but plenty of characters can use this. But just like Kegura's Verity, don't feel like you have to have this weapon, okay? There are still 5-star weapons available to you in the standard banner, just in case you want other options like the Skyward Harp. But that being said, this is a very, very good weapon. So if you happen to get this while pulling for Kegura's Verity, a very solid weapon for whoever bow character you decide to give this to, even if it isn't Child. They could probably get 4 stacks of the, this weapon's effect, but it's going to be harder for other characters for sure. Moving on to the 4-star weapons. The first one is the Favonius Sword. Now, we've covered the Favonius weapons plenty of times on this channel and plenty of weapon banner reviews, so we're just going to go over this fairly quickly. This sword gives you energy recharge as a substat, and every time you crit, you have a 60% chance to generate a small amount of extra elemental particles, which generate 6 energy for the character. This is really good for support characters mainly, or sub DPS characters that need a bit of extra help with their energy. Plenty of characters can use this, from Traveler to Chi-Chi. I guess this is on here for Layla because they did give this sword to Layla in her character trial. Although I kind of disagree with it on her, because I feel like she has a very cheap energy cost for her burst. So seeing her have a weapon like this was kind of weird. But Favonius is a very good weapon for plenty of support characters that you want to have their burst up consistently. You just have to remember to build some crit rate. Like 30% to 40% is like a good amount minimum to get this weapon to proc consistently. For crit hits, or for the weapon effect, you can actually get this up to 100% if you get it to Refinement 5, which I feel like most players will, because this is a weapon you see fairly often. Next up, we have the Bell, which is arguably the worst weapon on this banner. This weapon has a substat of HP percent, and it has the Rebellious Guardian effect, which makes taking damage generates a shield which absorbs damage up to 20% of the max HP. This shield is going to last for 10 seconds or until broken, and this can only be triggered once every 45 seconds. Now, refinements are going to reduce this cooldown, but still, it's pretty rough. While protected by the shield, the character will gain 12% increased damage. Now, see, the problem with this weapon's effect is that we already have so many characters in the game that can generate their own shield that this weapon effect seems pretty redundant. We got Zhongli, we just got Layla, we have Toma now, we have Diona. Like, there's a bunch of shield characters that this doesn't feel like it has a place. I suppose you could maybe use this on Dory if you really want to, but I don't think it's necessary. You're better off getting a more energy recharge based weapon for her so that she can get her burst up more often. But yeah, I don't this weapon is not really good at all. I can think of very few characters that want it, maybe like a support Noelle. I suppose this will make her heal a little bit more, but it's good, I guess, in the beginning when you have nothing else, but you're going to quickly drop off this weapon for literally anything. Next up, we have Dragon's Bane, which is a very strong polearm. If you have a Hu Tao that you still haven't built for some reason, This is going to be her second best weapon behind the Staff of Homa. Maybe the third now because of Sindo's signature weapon. But anyways, very simple weapon, very simple effect. We've seen it plenty of times. It gives you Elemental Mastery as a substat, increases the damage against opponents affected by Hydro or Pyro by 20%. Very simple, very easy, very strong weapon. A lot of characters can use it. Gives you plenty of damage. I believe if you're doing the Toma Burgian burning build thingy or whatever, this is going to be his best weapon to amplify his damage if you're going that route. So keep that in mind if you need one. Next up, we have the Favonius Codex, which is basically the same as the Favonius Sword. Same effect. You can put it on some extra or on your support characters so that they get some extra energy recharge and help get their burst more consistently. Good for support characters. You can put this on Mona if you want. Maybe Barbara, I suppose. But yeah, there's not too many characters, but hey, if you get one, it's a decent option for a few. And the last weapon on this banner is going to be the Stringless, which also has Elemental Mastery and a very basic effect. It will increase your elemental skill and burst damage by 24%. I believe at Refinement 5, this is doubled to 48% or somewhere around there. Decent option for a lot of characters if you want. If you feel like your energy recharge on a lot of your bow supports is good enough, then you can opt in to go for a Stringless. So like if you're happy with your Collie's energy recharge and you feel like she doesn't need a weapon to help with her burst uptime, this is also good on Venti, Official as well. Plenty of bow supports will appreciate it. Just make sure you have the energy recharge for them to burst consistently. And that is going to do it for this weapon banner. It's kind of short because we've seen a lot of the 4-stars before in previous videos, and both of these weapons, again, very, very good weapons. If you are pulling on this banner, good luck to whichever weapon you happen to pull for. And yeah, let me know what weapon you're pulling for and for who, and who's gonna get the weapon. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you all in the next video.